Welcome back, Taylor Wade Hoffer Show podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Wade Hoffer. We have Pavan Argarwal in the hot seat today. How you doing, man? Thanks for being on.
This is the fun seat, not the hot seat. I've been looking forward to this podcast for a while now, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I have too. I've been looking forward to this, for a week or so. So it's and we're recording this on a Friday, so all week leading up, man. It's gonna be a great way to finish the week. So, Pavan got a great intro story for him. The owner and founder of AngelAI, it's an artificial intelligence tech company. We're gonna dive into fun stuff. Happy and excited to be associated with that in my business as of recent. Also owns SunWest Mortgage. Family business, we'll dive into that too. Started by his father. So, there's legacy, family, generational, opportunity that he is carrying on, which I have a lot of admiration for. And we're excited to dive in. So this is going to be a good interview. We met at a mindset conference at University of Houston, which I thought was really cool. And how many of those have you done? Because I'm watching your social, and I know you guys are pretty consistent doing those events.
Yeah, we do about 3 to 6 mindsets a year, just depending on what's going on. So and we've got a lot, and we got on the 14th in about 2 weeks we have. It's not a mindset event. Well, it's kind of is. It's in partnership with Mindset, but we have the entire club at the Wynn. We rented out.
I saw the
And
promos for that on IG
yeah,
too. I think that's phenomenal.
yeah. So March 14th at the Wynn in Vegas. So we rented out the entire nightclub, and
Yeah.
we're launching Angel Token. So
Right.
worldwide launch of our token and our token technology and our twin technology, which is if you buy your twin, you pay it with tokens.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine Taylor, you
Yeah, let's go into that now.
there's a real Taylor, and then there's a superhuman Taylor with super intelligence.
That's awesome. So I can feed it all of me on my best day, right? Right? And then it'll well, you give me some examples. I've seen some of the video. I saw one of you, somebody on your team texted me you that wasn't you, and you were talking to me. It was pretty cool. It looked just like
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the all of you on your best day, right? And if you want, even some of your worst day. I mean, you got to really be all of you. It's truly about your whole personality, getting that into blockchain, into your vault. Okay, and all of the knowledge and power of Angel AI. The Angel AI knows everything about mortgages and real estate. Well, not everything. No one can say everything. And I don't want the regulators to say, why did he say everything? So, this immense knowledge of in-depth technicalities of mortgages, of finance, of you can literally ask. So you'll be able to ask AI Taylor literally any question about finance, and the AI Taylor would be like a genius, knows everything.
That's so cool, man.
So,
Making smart people look smarter.
yes, yes. Well, you already look smart. No,
I appreciate that. It's the shaved head, man.
I couldn't agree more.
There you go.
See, the reason I wear the cap is because the light shines off off the head, so I keep the cap on.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find out if my boys talking trash. They're like, "You're bald, Dad." I'm like, "It's sexy shave, man. Leave me alone." It's like, look, 'cause this is on purpose. This is very strategic.
Yeah,
I could grow hair if I wanted. It's just funny, man. So, how many kids do you have? You have kids?
I have 3 kids. My oldest, yeah, oldest is 28 and 22. Actually, 23. I just turned 23, and youngest is just turning 11 in a couple of days.
That's where I am. 12 and 14.
Yeah.
So, I'll have to ask you about the older ones when I get a little older. I'm gonna need some advice because I'm getting there. But anyways, all right. Back on track, man. So let's talk about kind of your story. How'd you get started? I know your dad started SunWest, and then I've been looking forward to this interview, and I didn't want to ask you before because I wanted you to dive in, on the show. But Luke on your team was telling me about the legacy in your family and what you got going on, but didn't go super deep. But I knew this conversation was coming, so. But that seems to be a driving force, third party, right? That I've heard about you. And so I'm curious to kind of, I guess it's, what makes you tick, and that's a good question I like to ask everybody. But you got your hands on a lot, and you got a lot of momentum on a lot of fronts. So, what is it, man? Give me what you got on just the story of how all this came about.
Yeah, so actually, my dad started real estate. He started in real estate and built a large, well, not large back then, but sizable real estate portfolio in the 70s. And that's, there we had what, double digit inflation in the 70s. Jimmy Carter was in
Yeah.
town.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter was in town in the 70s. We had double digit inflations. And then we had, I guess, Jimmy Carter redo with Biden, and we had inflation again. So that real estate portfolio was just an amazing asset to own. Yeah, in inflation. So God bless Biden for inflation, right? Because
Yeah.
inflation was at 1.67%, and real estate was going to 20-30%. I mean, it's the best hedge against inflation, right?
Holy cow.
Yeah. So and so basically, so he got into real estate because his brother was in real estate. He got into real estate. He started buying and selling, mostly. Um, oops, sorry, hold on, I'm back. It was hold on, I lost my microphone.
The best part about doing this on Zoom, man, is all this will be cut out. You know what I mean? So don't even worry about it.
Shoot, what happened to my microphone? Oh, there we go. Okay, we're all set now.
You're back.
Sorry. Okay, so so let me start again. So my uncle was in real estate, and he got my dad into real estate. And then my dad started buying a lot of real estate in the process. He was an agent, a broker, and he started buying a lot of real estate, and bought it at the best time. And back then HUD had a program where you could buy a HUD repo for $100 down. So basically, like infinite leverage almost. So you had $100, you buy a HUD repo, and he would just buy so many of them. You'd buy them, and then we basically, we the family, the kids would go there. So I was like 7, 8 years old, mowing lawns and painting houses and cleaning bathrooms or whatever. That's where I grew up, and that was a lot, right, right.
Right? Where were you doing that? What's
Southern SoCal. That was like Norwalk, Bellflower, Lakewood, that whole area there. Collecting rent, knocking on doors, getting yelled at, getting spit on.
fun stuff? Yeah. That's the
What
way to like,
every kid should go through that when they're 9 years old, right? It's gonna harden you. It's gonna make you ready for the real life.
yeah, no kidding. So all right, so Uncle got it started, and then your dad joined Uncle, or what?
No, no. He sort of started with his uncle, kind of uncle showed him the ropes, and he then did his own thing, and did that through the 70s. Did real estate, built a nice portfolio, and then 1980 he started the mortgage company.
Say that again. When
1980.
David got it. Okay.
Actually, August 1980 when he started. So this August 2025 was going to be 45 years.
That's wild, man. That's awesome. It's kind of when I got here. I was born in '81.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a youngin.
Yeah, same age as the company, apparently. All right, or close to it. So 45 years, and then that's the mortgage company, right?
That's the mortgage company. Yeah. So he started it at 1980. He got me involved like a year or two later. So I would have been like 12ish when I got involved, and he wanted me to write software to automate the mortgage company, and so he bought a PC, and he says, well, just figure this out. I mean, have it generate a till. And I'm like, what's a till? He's like, go figure it out. Here's a document. Go figure out how to calculate an APR, and go figure it out. So and I did.
That's right.
And yeah, I guess it was a step up from cleaning bathrooms. So I happily took it. So
Yeah, no problem there. I'm in. All right, sign me up. Deal. Thanks for the computer.
exactly. Right. Right. So yeah, so I wrote the software, we got up and running, and then we were the only lender literally in the country at that time that was able to generate a till and initial disclosures in like 30 minutes. So back then it used to take literally, you had 3 days to get disclosures out because it used to take 3 days to get disclosures out. That's why the rules are the way they are. So then he started growing because the loan officers would come and work for us because it was so easy and so fast. Right. So then, I can't, so I've done everything in the mortgage business, from everything from cleaning the office to collecting. I've been a collector for mortgage payments, foreclosed on people, foreclosed
Yeah.
on loans. I've underwritten loans. I've originated loans. I've just done everything. I know every little bit of the mortgage business. I've done every single function I've done over all these years. Um, and then I took over the company in 2008 from my dad, because that was right in the peak of the crisis. And he said, "Son, if you get us through this mess, it's yours."
Oh, no way. Okay.
It was a huge mess, and anybody who lived through that understands how treacherous those waters were. So, God willing, we got through it, and um, and then in that time period, and obviously this conversation is about AI. In that time period, right from 1982 to now, right, uh, being the nerd that I am, I was fascinated by artificial intelligence. So I actually wrote a simple underwriting. Just it was I don't know if you even call it an underwriting AI, but make simple AI for decisioning, making some simple decisions on underwriting questions, back in 1985. But it was too complex, too painful, and too slow based on the hardware back then, and based on just having the money. It takes a lot of money to build this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a tiny company. So but it was good. It was good experience. As I got my understanding, my head wrapped around AI, what I needed to do. And then I went to UC Irvine. I got engineering degree from UC Irvine. So I did that while I was still deeply involved in the mortgage business. And obviously I took a lot of advanced math and machine learning classes and all kinds of stuff. Had lots of fun. I think if I was to stop and relive my life, I would just go back to college. It was I want to be. I guess everybody would say that. I mean, who wouldn't want to be 18 again and be back in college, right?
Yeah. No.
It was the best time of my life. Uh,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I had a sales job, managing 75 college students when I was like 22. So I was like,
uh,
man, well, if I'm not gonna be in college, like, what's better than kind of hanging out with college?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like doing, like living. It
that-
was like,
exactly. And actually last week, actually, well, not last week, it was just 4 days ago. I was in LA at Loyola Marymount University. I was invited to speak and address the engineering business school.
oh,
And that was just so much fun, and just being around all those kids. I was like, oh man, I missed this. I wish I was back in college, but there I was going in on the other side of the table as a teacher, uh, not as a student. But it was just so much fun. Um, yeah,
that is 100%.
yeah,
So some of the biggest lessons along the way, because you just covered a lot of ground right there, So from taking over in what 82 the mortgage company, right, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
and running, and then now you're teaching back to the kids when you're going to college campuses and stuff. So some of the biggest lessons along the way, navigating through the market shifts and everything else.
Oh wow, biggest lessons. I'll tell you about a lesson that I would just learn. I wouldn't say a lesson, but something I figured out recently. And then I was on another. I'm remiss that you're not the first one that I'm telling you this. There was just 3 days ago. I was on Coach Pite's webinar, and that was the first time I explained this. And it's like in business, like no one can say that they can have a business career without taking some hits. Right? Without someone stealing from you or someone deceiving you, or and if you're in real estate, someone stealing that listing from you, or doing something underhanded. I mean, everyone's experienced that. I mean, I'm sure, Taylor, you must have had experience like that. something bad must have happened to you by someone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way of the
Uh,
working.
yeah. So, I was reflecting on that recently, and I was thinking, instead of feeling bad about those things, and one thing when I look back at my life, every time I've taken a hit, and I've taken some big hits, um, and it's almost immediately thereafter, I come out whatever I was before the hit, I come out like 100 times farther.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, and I attribute that to mindset first, not dwelling on the hit, on why, like a lot of people will take a hit and then they'll just dwell on it and dwell on it.
Yeah.
And you can't move forward. Um,
Just keep
yeah,
going. I have a question, but I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, but my conclusion is like twofold. One is when people think that they're analyzing. People will replay what they did and they'll write down, maybe I should have done more diligence. Maybe I didn't look at the numbers right. Yeah, I should have remembered. I should have seen this warning sign. I should have seen that warning sign. I've actually seen people like make a notebook and make a list of things that they did wrong, right? So that in under the guise of, so I'm better educated, better prepared for next time. Okay, and my theory is that you're not really you're just not letting go. You're not helping yourself by doing that, because the root cause of all of these kinds of hits that you take, the root cause is never, it's never what you did or didn't do, or something like that. The root cause boils down to you having you're being in the wrong state of energy, you being in the wrong emotional state, because you're not listening to yourself. You're not you're not feeling the energy of the situation properly, because you're so tied up in the deal. You're so tied up in your yeah, in different emotions, whether it's excitement or greed or anger or fear. You're tied up in all these emotions where you're not listening to yourself, right? And you're not seeing the obvious. And there's so many times when, all of us, we've been in a deal and we've taken a deal, and then someone close to us will come and said, I knew that was going to fail right from the beginning, right? Right. Or someone comes to you and says, I told you so, right? I told you not to do that deal. Why? It's just so obvious, dummy. Why didn't you see it? And this, because your personal energy is wrong. Your personal energy is in the wrong place because you're tied up in the emotion. And the third party observer doesn't have any of those emotions, so he could see it for what it is. So lesson number one is is focus on that placid lake, that place. Be the outside observer for yourself. Be your own outside observer. Right? Separate your actions, separate what you're doing, separate the deal points, right? The deal energy from you. So you can look at yourself as an outside. Learn to look at yourself as an outside observer. Learn to look at your specific situations as an outside observer. And when you do that, then you no longer get emotional. Also,
Got to be some tricks that you use to be able to practice that, because that's a practice.
that's practice, right? You just got to keep reminding yourself. I don't know if there's any tricks, because I still get, pulled into these kinds of uh stuff. I think the only thing that I do is remind myself
Yeah.
that this is first, this knowledge that I need to be the outside observer. That
Mm.
I will make a the knowledge I will make a bad decision. I will do the wrong things if I'm not in the right energy state. Right. So just the awareness is enough to start getting you moving in that direction.
That's what I was about to say, the awareness, just being able to, because that's the part of, remembering it, so you can
Right.
remove yourself, from all the feelings, right, of whatever the negative things that sucked
Right.
you in, and that's
Yeah.
happened to all of us, right?
Yes. Right. Because so in other words, it isn't the facts of the deal that you need to be looking at when you're or the facts of a situation. When a situation doesn't go well, people spend a lot of time rehashing their facts. That's not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at your energy, your personal energy, right? Because you got into the bad situation because of your energy, not because of the facts of the situation. right? So that's number one. I mean, how many times has it been like where you actually, let's look at flip the script here, where you avoided something really bad because you were something told you not to turn right, when you were going to turn right, or you narrowly missed an accident, or you narrowly, you know, where you're about to do a deal and you didn't do a deal, and you just narrowly missed a big mistake, right? And that's you being aware and connected with the energy properly, right? So it's all about,
Avoiding, is that what you're talking about? Being able to avoid because you have the awareness?
right, exactly. And it happens, right? Just as much as the reality is, more good things happen to us than bad things. We're actually tuned in more than you realize. Right? We avoid, just we avoid accidents, we avoid problems. We if you're listening to this podcast, you're successful, you're doing stuff,
Mhm.
right? And you're doing a lot of things right. Okay, so that means you are listening most of the time. Right. So most of the time you're doing good things, and you're making the right decisions. Okay. So just and don't focus on that one or two times where it may have really hurt, and may have felt awful, may have stung really bad. Right. Forget about those things, because you've done everything else right. Okay. And there's so many times in life where something in the inner voice says, don't do this, and you don't do it. And then you go back later and look at it and say, oh, they got to do that. Okay, so that happens more 99% of the time. That's what's happening than the time when you're not listening to your voice, and then you get slugged in the gut or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so
Paying attention to what you know to be right,
exactly,
right?
right, yeah, yeah.
So why do you think, a lot of people will do it anyway, even though they know better?
Oh well, it isn't about knowledge, right? It's about their emotional state, right? It's there's something emotionally there's something about their energy, right? The energy is too negative, and a negative energy, negative mindset causes you to go down bad directions, bad paths. A positive mindset causes you to go down the positive paths, right?
No.
And it's really that simple. I mean, there are some people that you look at them and say they're so lucky. It's not luck. It's just
No.
because first of all, it's usually what you don't see is the hard work and the discipline.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two is they're calm and settled and happy inside, and that then changes your consciousness, your thoughts, right? Consciousness changes reality, and that's a fact. I mean, it's a whole part of quantum mechanics, and we can geek out and go there as a separate discussion. Because
Yeah. I read, I think it's called, oh man, was it just called Quantum Physics? I don't remember, but it was a book all about that, and it was deep, man. I was like, this is like I'm gonna need to reread this 4 times.
yeah,
It was pretty heavy, man.
yeah. These aren't easy concepts to grasp. And,
I know, and that's the tricky part because they sound so cliche and easy,
right.
and then hell, everybody will agree with you because it does make logical sense. But the hard part is to be able to follow through and have the discipline and the consistency on a day-to-day basis. And
Yeah,
and you're right, lucky things happen to people that show up, man. I mean, that's literally
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
They're put themselves in a position for the lucky stuff to,
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. 99% is just showing up, right? And then 1% is that positive. Is beyond positive. It's just this. You have to have this conscious energy around you that's saying, "I am the best." Like that. Not just I am the best. It's not about ego. It's just about the world is the best.
Goodness, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything around me is the best. You are the best, right? You just got to have that positive energy, and you'll see that things around you will start changing. Right? We human beings are these powerful concentration of conscious energy, and we can change the reality around us just by how we think. And there's I mean, like, just to give you an example, I mean, Meta just came out with an AI that they put this, EEG machine on your head, that reads your brain waves, right?
Yeah, they can measure a thought. I was about to, yeah.
Right. And you can literally, by thinking, okay, right? And again, it's just reading the electromagnetic waves of your brain, right? By thinking, it starts typing. It converts thought to text. Think about that, right? So if you think that I'm full of baloney, and if you think I'm full of baloney saying that your consciousness doesn't affect reality, okay, here is proof that it does, right? All right, here's an example of your thoughts affecting a computer, what the computer is typing. Okay, so consciousness does affect reality. Okay, and that's just picking up the electromagnetic energy around your head.
What What else do you know about that? Because I have heard it. I've seen. I don't know if it's the YouTube clips or on the news,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
that they can measure a thought. Is that Elon or who's
I know that was Meta that did it,
no,
but there's been I looked into biofeedback machines, and this has been around for a while. The Air Force did an experiment like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, of measuring your EM. They were training pilots, or they're trying to get pilots to from their thoughts controlling the airplane. And so they built that system. I guess there were some limitations as why it's not being used more heavily, or not being used in production. But you can steer a vessel with just your thoughts. So and that's not much different, right? I mean, you can steer a vessel, you can type, you can do thought to text or whatever, right? So
yeah.
the ultimately the proof is in the fact that what you're thinking affects the field around you, right? And it can be read and measured and impact a machine, right? That's the fact,
Yeah, that's
right? And it doesn't take much imagination to go from that to say, hey, maybe what else can my consciousness, what else can my feelings, what else can my positive energy and also my negative energy change?
that's right, and that's immediate. You don't need a computer tied
Yeah,
to your brain to be able to
right,
affect your day to day reality and the
right,
environment in which you
right.
create and produce.
Yeah,
It
just
is
to start your day happy and start your day angry. See, do an experiment. Day one started happy and positive. Day two started started angry and negative, and see how the 2 days end out.
yeah, and then you can break that down. Every hour. I mean,
Exactly.
I'd say on my, in my darkest hour, I would say like I was like, okay, I got to go minute to minute on this one because it's hairy and I got to figure this out. I got to navigate. And then back to how to like kind of pull yourself out of a funk when you know that you take a hit, then you do come back better, right? So knowing that, I don't want to ask this. I mean, does that make you get excited about the hit because because it's happened. You didn't hit, you came back better multiple times over. So you're like, okay, I got hit again. That sucks,
Yeah.
but I'm actually excited because I know what's happening. I know what's coming next.
Well, I did a podcast with Sugar Shane Mosley, and I said, and I asked him a question about losing fights. Right? He's lost a couple. He hasn't lost. He didn't lose many, but he lost one or two.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, how do you get upset with your opponent? Right? Like, there's some boxers who go nuts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They create a lot of drama. He's like, no, it's like I've never ever gotten. It says when I'm in the ring, I'm not fighting the opponent, I'm fighting myself. So if I lose or if I get hit, if the opponent breaks through my defenses and hits me, it's because something I did wrong. And I see that as learning. And I go back and say, why did I miss this, or why did I miss that opportunity? Why did I get hit, or why did I lose the fight, or even if I won the fight, right? He's thinking about, I didn't train enough, I didn't you know analyze it enough, or whatever. And he thinks about how to get better, right? So the real opponent,
Very powerful.
right? The real opponent in life is you, your own mindset, and your own ability. That's always your only opponent. It's not your boss. It's not your situation. It's not your country. It's not society. Right? It's you. Right?
Yeah.
Right? You got to figure it out.
Yep, the man in the mirror for sure.
All right. So, so to answer your question, I mean, no, you don't feel, so when you get hit, you really have to stop, take a deep breath, right? First of all, move forward, right? And second is understand this is the second half of the, the, the theory here, right? The second half theory is that if someone did you wrong, like really did you wrong, and there are situations where you felt like someone did you wrong, but they really didn't, right? Or they really didn't intend to do you wrong. It just sort of came out. It was just a situation, right? But then you might feel that it was them. But there are situations where people are just maliciously and very very directly do you wrong, right? And we've all had those experiences. We've all felt it. We've all gone through it, right? I'm
Yep.
sure Taylor, you could probably think of a few times in your life where that's happened.
Yeah, 1,000,000%, man. You wrote a book about it. Well, I wrote a book about it called Shock Value, and then the whole thing, the whole message is it's mentality and changing the negative into a positive
Yeah.
because you're going to get shocked, for the better, for the worse, and either way, you got to navigate that stuff. So,
Yep.
yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Everybody gets hit.
Everybody gets hit, right? And so when someone the hits hurt more when it's someone who did it to you maliciously, because then you feel stupid. You feel like why did I let him do that to me, right? And so the other thing I concluded, or the other half of the theory is that that's okay because see in the universe, there's basic fundamental law of the universe, which is energy is conserved, right?
Energy is what?
Energy is called a conservation of energy. The total net energy in the universe is always the same, right? So when you burn gas, right? Gas stores energy. You burn it and it moves the car forward. So that net, you just converted energy from one form to another, right? And so the same idea here. Conscious energy, it works the same way. So if someone has maliciously taken something of material value from you, right? Because that's usually what it's about, right? So on one side, yes, they've taken something from you, but since energy is conserved, they've also given something to you. So they've given you've actually gained their conscious energy. Okay, so you've actually become far more powerful than 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 you than whatever they've taken from you. So you consciously you've grown, you've gotten larger. They've gotten smaller, you've gotten larger. Okay. And that might sound a little corny, but I'll give you a little example of I'll give you an example of how you can prove this. Okay.
Okay.
So the universe doesn't care about whether it was taken by force, right? Or whether it was given by
Well, like,
yeah, by free will, right? It's just about direction, right? It's just about balancing. The universe just balances the equation. So if you ever taught somebody, if you ever taught a class, or if you ever taught a student, right? And everyone who's been a teacher knows, as a teacher, you learn a heck of a lot more than the student, right? And here, as a teacher, you are giving, right? You're giving knowledge. You're giving something valuable. Probably the most valuable thing you have, which is knowledge.
yeah.
You are giving it to the student,
Yep.
right? Okay. But your energy, you feel greater fulfillment. You feel like you're on a greater conscious level than before you taught. Sorry, let me turn my phone off.
I had to do the same. I had it on do not disturb. It wasn't enough. So now we're on airplane mode.
Yeah. Right. So you're giving it, you're giving up, giving us something freely, or like if you work with a charity and you're helping people, right? And you're giving your time and efforts, right? And people, and when we do that, we want to do more of it because we're feeling like we're gaining something. You can't really put your finger on it, but you feel a conscious lift. Okay, and that's what's happening. Energy, the equations must balance. right? So although your material, physical wealth is reducing, your cautious wealth is increasing, right?
Deep.
Right. So so it's the same. So it doesn't matter whether it was taken from you or whether you freely gave it. Is that the equations will always balance. So so yeah, it doesn't feel good when someone forcefully takes something of material value to you, but cautiously you will become bigger and stronger than ever before, and that's why I believe. So circling back, that's why I believe that after every hit, you know, I come back 10 times, 100 times stronger.
Yeah.
Than-
Back to the awareness on that, because it's just, I mean, I haven't had too many conversations with, people that even can, understand that. And then I don't even have to necessarily talk to them about it. You can just tell by the way that they're handling a situation, talking about the problem, sharing the experience of whatever it is. And it's not, sometimes it's victim, but not always. It's just a way of,
Yeah.
how you're approaching whatever it is. So I had a question a second ago when you were talking about, if somebody did something that was vindictive and that hurts even more. So who, like, how do you not in that situation? Because right, if you're taking all ownership and you're like, look, it's my fault, even if it wasn't your fault, how do you combat that, right? Because I mean, it was, it wasn't only your fault because you were associated somehow, somewhere in the universe, you did something to.
Yeah, I think you just, first of all, you gotta get rid of fault out of the vocabulary, out of the process. It's not about fault. It's just you can't go back and change time. It happened. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Right. This is what you have. Now what do you do next? Right. So at any one moment of time, God has given you X number of resources, X amount of capabilities. Right. There's some that you got a basket. It's like playing poker. You've been dealt a hand. Right. These are the cards you got. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not gonna sit there and say it's the dealer's fault I didn't get another ace or something, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like the chips you have, the chips you have, right? If you went to the poker game with $5 and your opponents went in there with $100, now I'm gonna say, bastard, he's got $100, he's got more chips than I do,
Yeah.
right? Right? So it doesn't work that way, right? It's this is your hand now, right? Play your hand. What are you gonna do about it, right?
Yeah. You gotta make the best of it. So I teach my boys in my household, life lesson number 1. We're up to 27 of them now. They got them all memorized. The first one, this is like 10, 11 years ago, I started doing this deal. I come up with one every like 3 to 6 months. But number 1 is options. He was about a year old, year and a half old, and he was crying mad at his toys on the floor. And, whenever I started picking him up, I'm like, you know what? I'd be mad too if I had all these toys. I'd pick up a truck. I'd be like, look at this one. It doesn't even roll right. It's the wrong colors. Like, how about the ball? I play with the ball. And it just, and finally I found something, the block, right? Whatever. And he stopped crying. I was like, okay, we'll roll with this one. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, figuring it out. If you have options, you can segue, and yeah, it's important. Easier
You're a good dad. That's fine.
easier said than done. Well, okay, well, Imma flip it back on you. Yeah, so I shared a dad card. So how about you? Because I know you've taught a lot of mindset. This doesn't just, come out on a podcast interview or, when you're with your poker friends, right? The most, intimate, heartfelt, genuine conversations that you're gonna have in your family business and legacy is gonna be, in your home with your kids, right? So in the upbringing, what's some of the, mindset stuff you've given them as they've hit rough patches, like just words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think the most important things I try to teach my kids, and as you'll find out, you said what, they're 10, 11, your kids?
Yeah, they're 12 and 14. Mhm.
Oh, and 14. Okay, they're teenagers. They stop listening now a little while.
Yeah, about 95% done listening. Yeah.
That's it. They're great until about 10, 11, 12, and they're still listening to that. That is so cool, right? But after that, they stop listening.
It's
Uh,
reluctant.
right.
Yeah.
But the main thing I teach my kids from little is freedom. The choices are yours. Always the choices are yours. Now, what do you do with the choices, and what do you do with the consequences? And always, defend your freedom. Defend your freedom to make the choices. Okay, and that means put yourself in situations where you have the maximum number of options available to you at any one time. All right. Don't give up something in the short term,
That's big. That's big.
right? Right.
Mhm.
Good. Don't give up a candy right now to uh so that you can't have so you don't have the ability to get 10 more pieces tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's kind of a basic lesson, because you understand that lesson, then you're going to make a lot of right decisions in your life going forward. It's I see it all the time. People trade away huge options in the future for small gains today, right? Options.
Mm.
There's a whole science in Wall Street of options trading, right?
Yeah.
And Wall Street praise of how Wall Street gets so rich off you is that's the trade. Always it's the trade. I'm going to give you a little bit of money today, and you're going to give up your options tomorrow, right? That's how they get so rich, right? So keep most valuable things are options. Keep those options. Keep the freedom, right? And then, of course, the best way to create options for yourself is through a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline, right? That opens up more options. Right? First is holding on to the options you have. Second is creating new options and new paths, right? And so those are the basic lessons I teach them, and repeat and reiterate. And then, you know, after that, I don't like, I see too many parents, especially in Asian cultures, right? That they they get they get stuck up on little things like, oh, you must go to this specific university, or you must study this, or you must do this, or must do that. I have no musts. Right. The only thing, only my only must is you must be happy. Right.
Interesting.
Must be happy. You must be happy with yourself and who you are. That's my only must. And the rest you'll figure it out. And it doesn't matter. I don't, it's like, I know it's the abilities that you're born with, you're born with. God's gonna bless you with whatever talents. Right. Now go out and explore those talents.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So I got two people that I studied, and I love their work, and I have a friend that has a baby, and he's close to my kids, and his baby's 2 months old, right? So he was like, I asked him, what's the first life lesson going to be, and he said something along the lines of happiness. I just want him to always be happy. So now watch this. One of the guys that I study, he's like, kind of the same thing, with his words to his family. He's like, I think it's important to be happy and enjoy what you do. If you can master those two things, then, like, that's a good life, right? It doesn't matter how much money you have, but like your happiness quality's good. All the what we were talking about with putting out the right energy, good things and options are going to happen for you. So I do think that there is a lot, like, this is like a heavyweight fight, because then the other one is kind of what we were talking about with the hits, right? And being able to bounce back, but you don't get to bounce back if you didn't learn from the hit by being punched in the face. So going through the suck, and that's the other version. It's like, okay, so as a man, right, protector of the household, you're supposed to, be the face, take the brunt of, any confrontation or obstacle, and protect, right? So you're gonna like go through it, and that's, out of the good and the love for everybody else. So there's supposed to be a lot of parts of a man that aren't happy, but you get to be happy, I guess, as a result of it. But at the same time, it's just, and I buy into that a little bit too, where I know that the hard stuff, like, sometimes I hate working out, but I'll go do it anyway. For the most part, I try not to miss, you know. Um, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we have to dissect a little further. Is what is happy, right? And what does being happy mean? And you can't be happy if you're not content. Right? So people create unhappiness by creating expectations. Right? Like people will say, well, I need to I need to make $1 million this year, or I'm a failure, right? I need to close 3 homes this month, or whatever. By creating those kinds of failures, those kind of expectations onto yourself, you'll never be happy. Right? Happy is basically sitting there and looking at all the blessings God's given you, and thanking Him for the blessings. That
Yeah.
creates happiness.
Yep.
Right. So count what you have, not what you don't have, and don't set expectations. Right. It's basically say, that's why you got to live in that one moment. Like, I have a job to do right now. I have responsibilities. I have things I have to do this minute, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your work, right, or whatever it is. You got to do that, right, and then you make a decision. What do I got to do next after that? And it is that simple. Right? And if you feel like there's too much going on at one time, you don't know what to do, sit down, just quickly jot it down, make a quick list of the top 3 things that you need to do that day, right, or you need to do this moment, right, and then just take the first one, the second one, and don't think about the 1,000 other things that are not done. Just the top 3 things, and just knock those out, and then you'll feel really, really satisfied. And actually, that cause every time here's the beauty of making a list and doing things off a list is you put a list together, and the minute you complete a list and you strike something off the list, you get a dopamine hit, and
Yeah.
right, and then you want to do the next one. You get another dopamine hit, and then you get addicted.
Bam, bam.
Yeah,
All day.
and
Yeah.
yes, and you get addicted to the dopamine hit, and you just wanna do more and more and more.
Oh
And
yeah.
all of a sudden, everything becomes happy because you're just knocking it straight out, and it's not, and people say, "Why you're so disciplined?" And no, man, I'm just high.
Yeah, I know, right? But now, look at this to-do list. So I read a book called Gain and the Gap, and it talks about writing down your top three, and then not only that, but sending them to an account, like get somebody to do it with you, type of thing. So and I've been doing this for pushing 3 years now, and I'll send my top three wins to a close friend daily, every single day. And what's cool is on the days when you got 65 things to do and maybe you only do 13 and you don't feel like you got that much done, you know, you look back over the course of a week and you got 3 times, 7 days, that's 21 wins, and you're just looking, it's the dopamine hit, right? It's like, okay, I actually had a really good week. So something bombs your day, but it's important, man.
Right, right, and
On what you have, counting what you have.
yeah, ultimately, it boils down to those. What you learn slowly is that those top 3 things, those decisions about what are those top 3 things at any one moment, right? Like right now, I mean, I could stay on this podcast, I could hang up on you, I can go, you know, go to my kid's soccer game. He went to soccer practice right now, right? So these are decisions I have right now. I could just
Right.
switch at any moment, right?
Yep.
And those, so where you end up in life, it really boils down to what are those top 3 things. What did you decide those top 3 things were? Right. And those top 3 things is best decided, taking it all the way back, is, are you looking at yourself as an outside observer? Right. Can you separate the emotion of the moment from the situation? Right.
Yep.
Right. Right. And we all have our hand. We've all been dealt a hand at this moment.
Yeah.
We're holding our hands.
Yep.
Right. What card do we play? What do we do next?
Yep.
Right. And so much of that is just simply what is your conscious energy telling you should do next?
Yep. So I'm gonna segue in a second, off of the mindset stuff, but last thing on it, today's society is viewed as soft a lot, entitled big time. That's only gotten worse, and I think it's unfortunate, especially if you're raising kids, because I am, and then it's even worse personally, like when you see it right from your own, and so they're I feel like they're gonna grow out of it. They've had enough good examples, and every kid's a kid, and I've been telling them for years. I was like, look, right now. you need to play games, have fun with your friends and do Roblox or whatever. Let me handle all, the tough stuff. But yeah, anyway, with the entitled stuff, like breaking that, man, breaking that. You see this stuff on social media too, the like kids in the 70s, 80s, 90s or whatever, and they just get, they're getting softer and softer. So
Uh,
combat
well,
that, right? Like, brr, just
well, I don't know about that. I mean, who's to say soft or entitled or whatever? I mean, and again, who's to judge society one way or the other? What all that matters is how do you run your family,
that's true.
right? I mean, the rest of it is, when you say society, that's a collection of families, right? So let's just focus. You don't control what happens to somebody else's house. Let's just keep your house in order, right?
Yep.
Right. It's sort of like that. I don't know if you the famous commencement speech by the Navy SEAL who says, there was entitled "Make Your Bed."
I've
Right?
seen that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
seen that
yeah,
one.
yeah. It's the same idea. Well, make your bed first. Start by making your bed, right? And
Yeah,
don't worry about anything
that was
else,
fantastic.
right?
Decorated guy and
Yeah,
given
yeah,
that was where he started.
yeah. Exactly. And there's a certain basic mindset and discipline that comes out of that, and puts things in perspective, right? That's you know, you know, being in that basic training, and the first thing to do is make your bed properly and correctly,
Mhm.
right? What they're doing is like forget about the rest. Just do what the task at hand is now, and relax. Do it, and then do the next one. Do it right, and do it properly, and then do the next task. Right? It's the same thing. And you're running your family. Stop and think what is the best thing I can do for my family this very moment, and do that. And don't think about the 50 other problems that you got that are facing you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't control that. God controls that. Right? You just what can I do right now?
Yep.
You make the decision.
It's really not more complicated than that.
Right. And the only other part of that is where I see that separates, like, you look at somebody, like two people or two friends can start off in exactly the same place, and one, reaches a height of business or something, and the other one is sort of kind of in the same spot, right? And the only difference really boils down to is what were and when you go through those moments in life, and they're prioritizing those top three things, right? The other guy, the guy who went farther, had a different top three list than the guy who didn't go as far, right? And he's seeing more opportunities, more options. So you gotta think big, right? And think broader. Don't think, you know don't think small, right? Don't forget about all the people who and all the pop culture that tells you that you can't do something, all the teachers who've told you you can't do something, right? All the family who's told you you can't do something, right? Always think big. Always remember your God's creation. You're infinite. We're all blessed, right? And when you start thinking that big, and you start seeing your top three list will change.
Yeah, that's huge. I wrote that down. I might consider that for my next life lesson, number 28. Think big. It's simple. Most of them are like between one to two or three words.
Right,
They're all
right,
short.
right.
That's powerful right there.
Yeah, because when you at any one,
So easy to not do it.
yeah, it is, and any one moment when you say, "What do I do next?" Stop and think. Think about the three biggest things you should be doing.
Mm,
And
yeah,
and don't worry about like, oh, if I say this, or if I try to do this, someone's gonna laugh at me, or or that you basically give up before you even start. Maybe you try it, but in your head you've already defeated yourself.
yeah. That's a losing
Yeah.
recipe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like every athlete, when they go in, when they go into the competition, you had to have mindset coaches that focuses them on winning. That they go in with, I'm going to win. They don't go in, I'm going to lose or I might lose. They go in, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Right? What actually happens, but that's where your mindset has to be. And no athlete goes into a game with the mindset, I'm going to lose.
Hell no. No, they're ready to go.
Well, maybe the Dallas Cowboys do. I don't know.
I hate the Cowboys, so I'm okay with that comment all day long. I mean, I'm in Houston. Oh man, where are you today? By the way, I meant to ask you
No,
that.
I'm in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Yeah, I thought that's where you might be. Are you there full time or?
I live in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You travel here only 3 to 6 times a year for the mindset stuff, or you come
No, I sorry. Let me just adjust my chair. Sorry.
hydraulics, man, hitting switches over there.
I I travel all over the place and just different conferences, events.
Yeah, that's right. You're coming to
All right.
Vegas, but March
Yeah.
14th launch.
Yeah.
So you're around. You're here a lot.
Yeah. Well, the next mindset is in Dallas next week on the 5th.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to that one.
I think I saw that. Is that Garland?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just go to mindsetsummit.com. It's there. So we have a mindset in Dallas. Got some really great speakers there. Then the 14th is the token launch event at the Win. Then on the 20th, we have another mindset in LA.
Are these all open to anybody that wants to come?
Yeah, for the most part. The token one is a bit more restrictive, but everyone should register. And we're pretty flexible on who we extend the invitation to, right? Uh, but the token one's already sold out. It's already full. But we'll still, if you register, there's still 3 weeks to go. If you register, we'll consider it very seriously.
Where do you go to register?
Just for the token launch, it's at angelai.com/ANGL.
Okay.
ANGELAI.com/A as an apple, N as in Nancy, G as in God, L as in Larry.
Fantastic.
All right. And the reason is ANGL.
Put on that stream too.
The reason is ANGL because that's a symbol of the token ANGL.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. And so that's a very special event. We got some extremely large private equity, family offices, ultra high net worth people will be there, along with numerous celebrities. And Bruce Buffer we just put on the site 3 days ago. He said he was excited about it, and he's like, I'm going to open it for you. He's going to do the classic Bruce Buffer. It's time to start the party off.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That is exciting. I will not be there. I wish I was. I won't be at the Vegas one, but hopefully I'll be at one of them soon.
That's the one. The Vegas one is the one not to miss. The one in LA is going to be pretty amazing because we got two amazing guest speakers. The one in LA on the 20th, which is just 6 days after the Vegas one. We got Josh Altman of $1 Million Listings. He'll be delivering the keynote, and also Dan Flashman, the youngest person at 17. He took a company public, and he's just I don't know. He's a multi-billionaire today.
Wow.
And just one of the top business coaches in the world. So you got two. It's hard to get one of these guys. We got two of them in the same event. I mean, it's a small. The one in LA is designed to be a small, intimate event. It's just going to be relatively small, and the reason we made it small is because we wanted people to have a real intimate experience with these great minds. I mean, it's too big. You just don't connect.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
And is this a mindset deal?
It's a mindset deal. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
All right. So all the mindset events are on mindsetsummit.com.
Gotcha. All right. So let's go to AngelAI, right? In business, so the growth, the impact. I mean, realtors and lenders are benefiting. I've seen several pieces of your content, and that's what's talked about the most. As a majority, how many people, by the way, how many people have signed on to Angel AI?
I think we're at 160 something. So January we had a
He's talking about 1,000, but I get it.
1,000, yes. So January we signed on 7,000 new accounts,
Okay.
and February is on track. I think we're gonna cross 8,000 in February. So that's a 15 or 13% growth month over month, right? Uh, and and if you look at the acceleration, a year ago we had added a couple hundred. So it's like a 10x growth in 1 year, and of new users being added. And I'm not just talking about size of platform, but there's an acceleration that's happening, right? And
Yeah.
and 75% of the people who go to Angel AI and create an account are either realtors or loan officers. It's about 50% loan officers, 25% realtors, and 25% do not declare. Okay.
25. What was the last one?
They undeclared.
Got it. Okay.
It's a self-declaration. Are you a realtor, loan officer, or whatever? And a lot of people, 25% don't declare. So, so that's massive, if you think about it, because there's only about 60,000 loan originators in the country that are regularly produced.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's something like 300,000 licensed loan originators, but there's only about 60,000 that are professionals that regularly produce. And there's something like 1 million licensed realtors in the country, 1.5 million, but only about like 150 or something that produce anything at any 1 year, like one deal a year or something like that. It's very small. It's like 10% produce. So at this rate of growth, you know, essentially all producing LOs and realtors will be on the platform. I think the bulk of them already are, and whoever's not on will be on the platform this year. And what we're trying to do here is build a AI marketplace of professionals, of realtors, of loan officers, and of homeowners, of home buyers, consumers, right? All in one marketplace, and they can in an AI chat marketplace, so they can talk to each other and say, I'm a homeowner, go in there and say, I'm looking for a realtor with this kind of qualities in Omaha, Nebraska, right? And and the AI will automatically refer to you the best fit realtor based on your profile, your emotional needs against the realtor's profile and his emotional quotient, right?
So,
Right. So that's the other thing that we've introduced in this AI that's different than everything else out there is something we call empathetic technology. So it pays attention to, learns, and understands your emotions. So because when you've walked into a relationship, right, a business relationship or a personal relationship, sometimes you meet someone, you're like, I don't think this guy gets me, right? I just don't feel the connection. You meet someone else, you're like, oh yeah, this guy gets me, right? Right.
yeah.
You feel kind of some kind of energy, right? And that's emotional matching. That's an emotional quotient there, and and
Yeah.
and so, and that's what we're doing is as you interact with Angel AI, it's actually keeping track of your emotional quotient and learning that. So you as a consumer, you have an emotional quotient, right? And Taylor as a real estate professional has an emotional quotient, and the AI is going to say, hey, Taylor's a good match for John Doe,
Yeah.
right? And Taylor also meets all the different professional requirements that John Doe has, right? And so that's where the platform's headed. And the more you engage with the platform that we just rolled out, something where the more you engage with the platform, the more points you earn, and then so now you can see your points and how many points you have, and you also the more people you create your own followers, you create followers on it like you do with other social media platforms. So as you refer the platform to other people,
Okay.
you gain points because you refer them to other people, and they become your followers on the platform. And so the higher your points are, the more followers you have, the higher you rank also. So you're more likely to get referrals as well. And you're more likely to show up on the top of the stack.
So are consumers getting on yet, or is that maybe the 25% that are undeclared? Because is that
There could be some of that 25%. Some of the 25%, I'm sure, is consumers. And
consumer one way or another? But
right. There's a lot of industry, a lot of mortgage industry professionals are on it, but don't want to say they're on it. Yeah.
why not? Because it's against their preferred mortgage bank or what?
Well, like I think there's a lot of underwriters and processors and closers that use it every single day to help them do their job, right?
Seriously.
But they don't want the companies to find it that they're on it, right?
That's
Because I'm at a trade almost at every time I go to a trade show. Somebody will come up to me. I work for so and so. Don't tell my boss, but I use it all the time. Is whenever I'm stuck, I go to Angel, get the answers.
not feel good, man. Oh man, I love your stance on it too, because you could have a totally different demeanor when talking about that, and like, don't want anybody else using my stuff if they haven't signed on and they're not using me exclusively and using my underwriters. But no, you're just,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
This is a different world, right? It's like I think the more you try to hold on to things. Like, was that in Star Wars? Remember Star Wars? That old movie? You're too young for that movie.
I
Okay.
mean, I love Star Wars. Yeah, yeah, no, I like Star Wars.
It came out like 3 or 4 years before you were born. So
We you talking about Empire Strikes Back here? Like,
yeah. The original Star Wars, or Princess Leia, she tells Darth Vader, the tighter you squeeze your fist, the more the different worlds will slip through your fingers, right? And that's the way I think that's a pretty good metaphor. It's the way it is with anything you're building. If you try to hold on to something, the less you'll scare away your customers and scare away your opportunities, right? Just keep your hands open, keep always be welcoming, always be compassionate, and you'll grow more that way. And that's the idea here, right? It's an open access.
that's so
It's not
true.
it's not an open source platform, but it's an open access platform. So
Okay.
anyone can use it. We don't force you to do this or do that. You just go and use it and start getting comfortable with it, and getting comfortable with the idea of what AI really is, and how much it can help you.
Okay, and I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, diving into some of the nuts and bolts and features and benefits. But before I go there, anybody that should just go look, where do they go? AngelAI.com.
Yeah, you can go to angelai.com, and the first thing on the top, it says ask me a question, and you just ask whatever.
Anything.
Well, kind
Right?
of anything, almost anything. It isn't ChatGPT,
Okay.
right? It isn't there to say do your college essay for you or something like that, right? But you ask it a question about mortgages, about finance, about qualifying, about I took XYZ deductions on my taxes. Can I do this? Can I do that? That kind of stuff. Right.
Gotcha.
But if you ask it what's the capital of, whatever, Rwanda,
Got it.
it's not gonna say that's not something I do.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
it's yes, it's not for the but if it's real estate related, that's
Real
what's
estate.
cool for it. That's what's
Yeah,
for it.
it's
Okay.
good for mortgages, right? And
Yeah.
real estate stuff. And you can ask her, what's a treasury bill? How does interest rates work? All that kind of stuff. Things, interest rates, treasuries, markets related, that kind of stuff. But the most important thing, I think I'll tell you stuff that's the most popular, not the most.
Yeah, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Why do people want it? Why do they love it? What's
Yeah,
what the main attraction draw in your opinion?
yeah, the most one the one of actually I would say the most popular feature is the credit boost feature. So if you've had a merchant that's messed around with your credit and marked you late or put you in collections or something, right? You just tell her, I want a credit boost. Okay. And then she'll walk you through it. Okay. And you tell her what account, what merchant, whatever that you have the dispute with. And then she'll take care of all the disputing with the merchant for you. You just,
Mm.
you just fire and forget. And, and, and it really works. because the AI just doesn't. It just keeps harassing the merchant endlessly until they give up.
I love that, man.
It's awesome, right? And because it's AI versus human, right? And AI is never going to miss a timeline. It's never going to forget,
Yeah.
right? So they'll just keep at over and over and over and over again. And under the law, the merchant has to respond in a certain amount of time. If he doesn't respond, he has to remove it. Right.
Beautiful.
So so it's not going to fix your credit overnight, but it doesn't take you more than a few minutes, and just let it run and come back a month or two later, and you're gonna see like big changes, big upgrades to your credit.
That's huge with, the lender, the realtor helping get the transaction across the finish line,
Right.
fixing credit all the time. It's just
Yep.
kinda,
Yep.
it
Yep.
comes with the territory, right? So
Yep.
that's
Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad borrower or a bad loan. It's just a family who's just not ready yet,
mm,
right? And we give you the tools to get them ready. Right. And the other thing, the side benefit I've learned from credit repair, by offering credit repair, and well, one more thing, we don't charge for it. Like, normally you go to a credit repair agency, they'll charge you, 200 or 300 bucks per merchant. And we don't. It's free. We don't charge anything for it.
yeah.
Right.
We
The,
should
the,
have
o-
brought that up earlier. That's huge.
yeah. I mean, yeah. The only thing you pay for is the cost of the soft pull, right? So because she needs to run the credit to get get all the information about your merchants, but that's it, right?
And
And
what's that, 75 bucks?
like 70, 75 bucks. Yeah, that's it. And you just let her run. And she just runs and runs and runs and I
That's awesome, dude.
it is. It's like we've helped so many people. I mean, this recently, one of our executives did a loan for a family member. And she had a just terrible family tragedy, in the recent past, and her credit got destroyed in that process. It was in the 400s. Right. So he said, okay, you know what? He gave her the link to AngelAI. I said, try it out. Let's see. Maybe Angel can fix your credit. So she went in on her own and started into the credit repair. Right. And 2 months later, her credit score was in the fives now. Right. So it went up like 100 points or something. And and then he's like, oh well, we can get you an FHA loan now. Okay. So then he said, okay, just tell her you want. Okay, remember now, the he's just telling her what to do, right? You say, yeah, just tell Angel that you want to get a mortgage, you want to qualify a mortgage. So she, like, nobody's helping her. She just went in on her own and says, okay, I want a mortgage. So Angel asked her a few questions, asked her for some documents, and within a day gave her an approval. Right.
Okay.
And then that weekend she went looking for houses, right? And on a Sunday afternoon, she calls John up and says, "Hey, I'm going to put an offer on this house. I have the approval, so let me put an offer on the house." Don't,
Wait, like Angel did.
well, no, the,
Or
the 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 borrower called John. John's the executive. John's like, "No shit."
that's wild.
He's like, "Okay, well, tell Angel that you're going to buy the house, that you got this house, and see what she asks for. Whatever she asks for, give it to her." Right. And so she did, and Angel asked for the listing and the purchase agreement and whatever. And she that afternoon or that evening, she put everything in there. And by Monday morning, she had a committed approval. Like it was done. She was ready to go to docs basically the next day, pending
Awesome.
a pending appraisal and title. Nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
That's it. I mean, so the lesson was, it worked really well for this borrower because the borrower followed the instructions. She was good at following instructions. When Angel told her to do something, she did. Right. And Angel asked her for a document. She gave Angel the document. Right. And second is, no one told her that you can't do it. No one told her that you're not ready to own a home or something like that. Right. And no one told her that, oh, you got a 400 some credit score, and yeah, come back a year from now or whatever.
Yeah. So
Because most loan officers, most realtors would have just said goodbye to that. When they pull that credit report, they would have said, "Oh yeah, we can't help you. Sorry."
yeah, you're done.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Do a fix and come back later.
Yeah. Right.
Good
Right.
luck.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Instead, there's a path. Right. We created opportunities, like going back full circle. Right. Right. You pass on these customers. Right. You're closing options for yourself. You're closing options for them. You're closing options for yourself. We created options. We created opportunities.
Yeah, the biggest opportunities in your opinion that AngelAI is doing. So people love the credit, they're using that you said the most.
Yeah.
What are some of the other opportunities?
Right. Well, realtors really love the lead prospecting on it. So every realtor's got a database of old cards, old contacts, and it's stale. Usually, you have hundreds, maybe thousands of old leads in your phone or sitting on your desk in a spreadsheet or something, and you haven't called them in in years, right? I see realtors that go to these different coaching, and the coaches tell them, you know, make the cold calls, right, et cetera, et cetera. But how many realtors actually do it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what Angel will do is, if you go in there and you tell her, can you cold call for me? Can you call my leads? And then she'll say, okay, sure. Give me a list. Right. So you export it out of your follow up box or whatever system you're using, or if you have a spreadsheet, and give her a list in any format.
Yeah.
And you'd give her a script, you tell her what you want her to say, and then she'll start calling. And she'll even, if someone doesn't pick up the phone, she'll even leave a voicemail with your voice. Right. And it's actually, and here's the trick, is these are human beings. We actually have an army of human beings that make the calls, not the AI. Because mortgages and homes, real estate, it's too big ticket an item to it's there's still nuance, right? It's Sales is very nuanced, and people can tell it's an AI still. And I think another 6 months or so, may not be able to tell anymore. But I think we're still not quite there yet. I don't. I've looked at these systems a lot. There's systems that do it fully AI, and I looked at them a lot, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't. If it were, I asked myself, if I got that cold call, what would I do? And I would say, that's an AI. I don't want to talk to it. I hang up. Right. And I
Yeah.
put it on the spam list. Right. So the same thing. So until I feel like I would answer that call, I'm not going to have AI do it. So we're 6 months to a year away before the tech is to that point. But in the meantime, we have an army of people that are AI driven. Okay, so it's augmented intelligence. This AI human work together, and they're really fast because AI driven, and they're all bilingual. They're all here in Puerto Rico, and
That's okay, nice.
yeah, and so you have this army of real human beings calling your leads, all bilingual, and talking to your customers. And if your customer doesn't pick up the phone, a voicemail is left, but it's your voice.
Your voice. Yeah, that's
Right.
super
So,
on it.
so realtors absolutely love it, because it takes old leads, old contacts, and warms them up again.
Yeah, and then I heard this, I think at University of Houston, when you were talking about it on stage. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is where I heard it. You can take leads from, like, I have a lot of realtor friends that'll host big, like, annual client appreciation parties. They'll have 75 to 250 people that either they want to invite. It's great for that, right? Getting the invitations out in addition to however normal,
Yep.
ways of inviting
Yep.
people. But then even better, you could do a thank you call.
Yes. Correct. Right.
Just whatever, but
Yeah. Right.
when I heard that, is that where do you talk
That's exactly
plays
that.
it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's actually the best type of cold call to make, is if you're offering something, you're inviting them to an event, or you're just calling to say thank you or whatever, right? Those calls are going to get picked up, and not going to mark the receiver won't mark it as spam.
Right.
Right. If you're just doing a cold call that's saying, hi, I'm a friendly neighborhood realtor, are you interested in buying or selling your home? That's just not going to go well.
Wait, say that again. Say what?
I'm your friendly. I just made that up, but yeah,
Yeah, I am your friendly.
I'm your friendly neighborhood realtor, and are you interested in buying or selling your home?
Oh, yeah, I just spam all day. That's the second part.
Yeah,
But so I used to hit my RSVP list, pretty good. I've hosted over 100 events, networking events and stuff, and there's so much strength in that. And it was like, have 400 RSVPs or whatever, and make a little video and send it to them via text and email. Thank you for your RSVP. Bring a friend with you. I mean, that stuff, man. Those little touches like that are
yeah,
very, very powerful.
right.
So to be able, and I wish I'd had this then, but I do now, right? So
Yeah,
I'll be utilizing that on
yeah.
the next
Yep.
invites.
Yep.
Touching on these things.
And the other thing and here's what realtors really geek out on the next two things is one is your listings, right? It only takes like literally 2 minutes. You put the information about a listing into the system, and she'll set up a website for that listing. I mean, fully SEO optimized with a video. She even generates a video presentation of the listing and ready.
Yeah.
Everything's ready for posting on social media, and it does it even does all the mortgage programs and interest rates and everything, real time rate feed analysis, down payment, payments, everything's like all figured out for you and uploaded, and a lead capture form. And if someone puts in lead, it goes straight to you. All right. And so it's your own personal storefront for that listing. And it's yours. And because it'll be like, in your case, it'll be angelai.com/Taylor. Right. And it's so like so like your sites. So AngelAI basically creates different kinds of websites for you. And those sites are all yours, just like your Gmail account is yours. Right. So any site AngelAI creates for you belongs to you. Okay, so that means, if you change agencies or whatever, it follows you. It goes with wherever you go. So your web footprint, right, stays. Your SEO, right, search engine optimization stays high, right, because that same link is still there. So if you move from Century 21 to Remax, right, your Century 21 sites are gone, right? Now you have new sites on Remax, and now you got to go back on and fight again to get back on top on Google,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because you started it once your old sites are gone, you go your Google footprint is gone, and you got to start all over again,
Yeah.
right? So this is like your it's like your storefront, but it's your personal storefront, and it's yours, and it goes with you wherever you go.
That's
Okay.
beautiful, dude.
Right. So you can create listing sites. You can create your own, Taylor's Realty site. Right. Obviously, it has to be done in the compliance with the name of with your broker and all that on there, but it's still yours.
So how do you not lose it again if you go from Remax to Keller Williams?
Because it's under Angel AI, so that's yours. Just like
I got the website that was built by Angel.
by Angel AI. Right.
I'm
Exactly.
with you. I'm with you now. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just like if you have a Gmail account and you have an at Remax account, right? When you leave Remax, your at Remax account goes away, right? But your Gmail account is still with you,
Still got that, right.
right? It's the same thing. Your storefront that you create with Angel AI is yours. Doesn't matter what we don't care what agency you work for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I heard an instructor sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I heard an instructor a long time ago talking about or warning this group of agents about making sure that you're using a Gmail account or something that at least you own. So if you do make the switch from KW to
Yeah,
Rena or
yeah,
whatever, you
right.
don't, when they cut you off, like,
Yeah, right,
yep, people can't get a hold of you.
right.
It's
Yeah, but we're same idea here. But like,
same with it.
so right now, email is not that important anymore. We know what's more important is your where are you on Google ranking? Right. And if all your web content is under your franchise, right? And once you change, that's gone. You gotta fight. It's gonna take months, maybe years to get back on where you were.
You know, so
Right. And not only that, but those links, like anybody, like let's say, if when you have an Angel AI /Taylor link, right? that link is good forever. Doesn't matter who you work for.
Yeah.
Yours
That's beautiful. And Pavon, how much does this cost again?
is zero.
How are you able to do that? I'm sure people want to know, like, why do I get the credit thing free and the website for free, and the engaging with the real estate?
Well, first of all, it's all AI, right? So it's not like when you go into the AI and you ask her to create a site, she just does it and puts it up there, right? It maybe cost me 2 cents on CPU power or something like that, right?
Yeah,
That's nothing, right? So I mean, I spend a one-time investment to develop it, but second is look, I mean, it's about building relationships. This business is about relationships and connecting, right? Like I said in the beginning of the call, I've done everything in this business. I've been a loan officer, right? I've knocked down realtors' doors. I've marketed to successful realtors like you, and walk in there with my flyer and says, "Please give me a loan." You know,
yeah,
I'm your friendly neighborhood loan officer. I'm here to get your business, right? Right. So that's a terrible sell, right? But instead, I'm coming to you and saying I have value, real value I can add for you, and there's no obligation, right? Try out my shit. If you like it, right? First, I want you to be happy. I want you to like it, right? I want you to enjoy it. Then I'll come back to you and I'll say, please, now maybe you can give me some business also,
yeah,
right? It's that simple. You don't have to. There's no requirement to. You could still, if you don't give me the business, you could the Angel AI site still yours, right? There's no requirement. If you don't give your business to a SunWest agent, that right, your deal with Angel AI is with Angel AI. That's a separate company, right? But what we find is that people, as they get into it and they start using it, they're like, "Oh my God, this thing will what I want you to give me the business because you're empowered by the tools and technology I gave you because the tools I gave you, the stuff I do for you makes you more money,
right.
right?" And then you realize that, hey, just by using this 1%, I've doubled my business. Now, what if I go in all in with these guys? I'm gonna 20x my business, and that's what's really actually happening out there. So it's just a way in, and it's a way to help, it's a way to increase and support my customers, and people are naturally then sending more business to us, to my, I would say, to my mortgage side of the house.
Yeah. I love it. It's, you're, tech driven, and your dad at 12 years old said, figure out how to use this tech. And then it was years later when, then the mortgage company, right? You did
Yeah,
it backwards, man. And then, well, you sandwiched it really because you did the tech, and then later came the mortgage that was in the middle. And then boom, then you're
back
back,
back to back
throwing
to the
some
tech.
AI technology
Yeah,
on top of it, which I'm gonna segue to the twin that you referenced a couple times that does look
that
like you, sounds like you, talks like you, but elaborate a little bit on,
that's super exciting. So
I can't wait to get mine. I was telling Lucas, I was like,
you're gonna have to find a way to get to Vegas on the 14th. You just gotta do it, man.
I'm gonna be on vacation with my kids.
Bring the kids. Let's go to vacation. Kids in Vegas. Nice idea. Go to vacation in Vegas.
Oh man, oh, I'm taking them to Bun B the rodeo, and but anyway, that'll be an experience.
Oh, I know. You come
With me soon enough, man. They're gonna be a lot of
you,
us.
you come to Vegas and send your twin on vacation with the kids.
There you go. The the master delegation right there. Thought it was a good day already.
Your
That was double dad. Oh man.
your kids could go on vacation with AI dad.
All right, boys. AI training right now. Now I'm on your phone. Just look. If you have a question for me, that's oh man. But no. So yeah, I was telling Lucas, I was like, man, because I got your video. I got excited. I wrote him back. I'm like, dude, this is phenomenal. I got thousands of videos. I mean, I can dump into the thing, and I don't know too much, but I do know that you can, you train your GPT in different, social or AI platforms on how to know you, right? And that's essentially what this is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. So imagine, like,
I can't wait.
you can't, if you got three buyers calling you at the same time, you can't talk to all three of them at the same time. but they can talk to your twin at the same time. Imagine your twin, your AI generated twin on your listing site or on your website.
Right.
They can talk to you and see you just like I'm talking to you right now. It's going to feel very similar.
I know, you know.
Yeah, it's wild.
Now you can tell a little bit of the difference, but, and I think you said this earlier, but real quick, because I think you put a 6-month time limit on something similar that we were talking about. It's getting so much better so
Yeah,
fast. That's why even if, people are like, oh, I could tell, I'm not like, if I get the call, it's a spam thing. You know, you say that now, but it's going to be pretty soon. You're not going to be able to tell. I mean, I feel sorry for the celebrities that are going to get ripped off. They're going to be doing it for. You already see on the feed a little bit, but
yeah, yeah.
anyway.
And I think, I think it's going to be a time where people. I don't think we're that far away where the mindset of the consumers have changed, where they would actually prefer to talk to your AI twin than to you. That's the world we're heading into, right?
Holy shit, that's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
And
Think about it. No one ever thought.
that's on the other side of what I just said. I just said people are gonna have the resistance, and then wow, that's I bet you're right, man. The
Yeah,
resistance
because
race later.
yeah, because when text messaging became popular, no one thought that people would rather text message than phone call, but that's what it is. People would rather text than phone call,
Yeah,
right? And it's the same thing as people understand how the power of twins and how flexible they are, right? And how smart they are. Like they always have their answer. They're always available, right? You're not always available. The twin is. They would rather. It's gonna get more comfortable. They'd rather talk to your twin than to you. That's 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 the future.
it's beautiful, man.
And it's not there yet. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some education, some training, right?
Yeah,
And it's the same thing. Like why is Amazon so popular, right? In the beginning, everyone said no one's going to ever buy stuff on the internet. Come on, that's silly, right? Maybe it's a novelty. People thought it was a novelty, right?
yeah,
Now it's the biggest retailer in the world, and we're all like, it's so convenient because you just hit the button and you get it. You don't want to go to a store. You only go to a store if you have to,
it's true.
right? Right? So it's the same thing. It's the twins are going to be the exact same. People would rather talk to a twin. And then taking one step further, the future, the real, you know, this is in the short run, people are going to rather talk to the twin. But get this, in the medium run, it's going to be twins talking to twins. It's AI talking to AI
And getting stuff done.
and getting stuff done. Because what you would do is tell your twin, oh, manage my calendar for me today and take care of my appointments.
Yeah,
And the twin will go and reschedule stuff or whatever. Just do it make the phone calls and do it for you.
make the couple souk.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
That's where we are going to be at very soon. And your twin will call your doctor or your dentist to reschedule an appointment, and it would be the doctor's twin that'll answer the phone and make
yeah, yeah, yeah,
AI talking to AI. It's no longer people talking to people.
yeah. That's
Right.
I mean, my dad always taught me to be an early adopter when it comes to new technology and stuff like this, and there's a lot of people that'll fight it, and you'll get left behind, man, real quick. I mean,
Oh, and if you want to talk about something really scary, is AI will be the biggest single consumer of products is going to be AI in the next 10 years. Right. So actually,
is that like is that an auto ship and knowing what the avatar wants to have or needs?
well,
Like, yes,
uh,
that's the toilet paper things for the house, and so they're automatically going to be buying it.
that and then the AI is going to need stuff just like your iPhone needs to be upgraded, right? And you go
Okay, buy the storage and buy the extra, whatever
exactly.
for the
So
project. I got a project. Wow. Holy
yeah,
sh-
the AIs will need to buy other products to stay up to date and to have more capability,
Yeah.
right? Right. There's a whole AI economy that is being created and is an ecosystem, right? Which accessories and so forth that would be needed, right? So it's literally an economy driven by AIs making a decision that okay, I need this new whatever my human master needs a dentist appointment, and I need the dental package. I need the dentistry package to understand, whatever, right? And understand, human dentistry, whatever, right? And I'll go buy that package so that then you could talk intelligently to the dentist, and this talk intelligently to the dentist AI. I just think about it. I mean, I just walked you through. I just made this up, but I just walked you through a use case of AI consuming, being the driver of consumption, not the human. Right?
Yeah.
The human, he just say the need is, the need is I need to make an appointment with the dentist for me because I have a toothache. Right?
Yeah. It's wild, man.
Yeah, that's the future. I mean, it's close. It's really close.
I want to ask you this since we're somewhat on the topic. Metaverses where you have digital like offices and stuff. I mean, I didn't think a lot of people have thrown a lot of money on that, and it's existing a little bit, but hadn't really like taken wind. And I think it's gonna. I don't know if it's like a 10, 15 year thing where that's the norm. Instead of Zoom, you're coming to my virtual office.
Yeah,
Uh, would
I, I
if you
I think that would.
had any like high level meetings like other than just like a demo slash experiment, in some of those?
No, I haven't. I actually, and you're right. I think in the future, instead of Zoom, I think Metaverse replaces
Yeah,
what we're doing in Zoom. But I actually, I think the whole idea of Metaverse real estate and all that, I think that was silly. I never appreciated that. The people aren't going to live in the Metaverse. People might go in the Metaverse to do.
talk some business. Yeah, just to have station. I didn't mean real estate specifically. I just meant just to discuss.
Right, I know, but a lot of money was thrown into buying Metaverse real estate, and that was just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But Metaverse as an alternative, as the future of meetings, as meeting spaces,
Mhm.
I think that actually makes sense. Is a good, a properly working 3D virtual meeting space is pretty interesting. But I think it was Google or Microsoft that's come out with the augmented reality glasses. Because I think that makes more sense, is that wherever you are becomes a meeting space, and all the other meeting attendees kind of show up, as part of your environment, not like leaving reality into another reality, which was the metaverse idea. I think that's a bad idea. But I think augmenting virtual reality with reality, I think that makes more sense. And I see that's where the world is gonna. That's where we're gonna land.
Gotcha. What would you say is your vision for the future with SunWest as we're in a shifting market right now, right? So what do you see, man? What's on the horizon?
Well, I think the Sunwest is the platform, that has it's a lending platform, right? It's got all the licenses to provide consumer finance, all kinds of consumer finance, right? So like we're just about to roll out after the token launch. We're going to roll out insurance services. Okay, so anyone will be able to go into Angel and request homeowners life and auto policies, and really low cost, and just complete fulfillment by the AI.
Okay.
Right? Just a simple chat and it's done. Okay, and so and then also we're rolling out the tax returns. So
Wow.
we're real close. I mean, so we're trying to get this, and obviously before the April 14th deadline. But at the same time, I'm debating whether it's even worth it, because let's see if Trump is successful in getting rid of income tax. Just kidding. Maybe not entirely kidding. I think everyone on this call hopes that he's successful doing that. I don't think it's reality, but you know,
Yeah.
um, you know, but just imagine like way just as credit repair, how simple that is. Same thing with tax prep. Right, you'll just take a picture of your receipts, and then literally the way it works. I mean, it's working in demo right now, right? In our test environment, you take a picture of your receipts, of your tax documents, 1099s, 1098s, whatever you have, right? W-2s,
Yep.
right? And then he said, generate my 1040s. That's it. And it takes all the deductions. And if you had rental properties, you take receipts of your rental, whatever, right? Rent receipts, your rent ledger, and take care of depreciation, all that. That's like, it's like all the stuff that a junior CPA would do manually, it just does. Now, if you have a complex business or something, yeah, it's not going to do that. It's gonna do, it's designed to take care of what 70% of Americans need.
Fantastic, man.
And
And
right, if I can help 70% of the people, that's a good day.
yeah, and so realtors and lenders, since that's who's benefiting and using predominantly Angel AI, what's your biggest tip, words of wisdom to them? Is it just simply you do take advantage of the tech because it's free? It's super helpful for the business.
It's free, and it's going to, and as far as I can see, and my plan is to keep it free forever. There's no reason to charge for it, because we're building so much goodwill, and it's translating into customer loyalty, right? And we got huge loyalty from consumers, from realtors, and from loan officers, because no one else really goes out there and says, "Let me help you. Let me help you grow your business." If I, first, and then if you like that, if you like me helping you growing your business, and if you like the results, right, then you can, and if you feel like it, you can reward me by using one of my, working with one of my sister companies,
Yeah,
right? And it's in your interest. It's in your interest to do that, yeah, because you know what you're going to get. And you already know, like we're performing for you, we're delivering your business, and we're taking care of problems for you. So it's in your interest to go all the way across, and let's use all of it. Right?
absolutely.
It's only going to get better if you use more of it, not worse, right?
Yeah, it's very smart, strategic, giving, all encompassing, promoting business to be done within, the Angel AI, you know,
Ecosystem.
ecosystem. Thank you is the word I was looking for. It's yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad I went to University of Houston that day when you guys were there.
that was a great meeting. Oh yeah, at University of Houston. Actually, a week ago, literally 10 days ago, I was at University of Texas in Dallas. I met with the dean of the school, plus the dean of the business department, dean of engineering. And that was a really great meeting, and we're walk through what we're doing, because we're hiring a lot of engineers, and we're hiring a lot of business people. And also, I think we can give back to the university, just like with more, offering education programs and research grants, and internship to the students at different levels. So all that, we talked about, and kind of hammered out a framework for a plan for University of Texas, because
That's really cool, man. One of my
his,
sons wants to go to UT.
yeah, yeah, they're big technology school, right?
Mhm.
And they're a leader in all, you know all engineering technologies. So this is right up their alley. They got a big AI division, and so they're in. So expect some interesting announcements with UT.
That's exciting, man. That's a good teaser right there. Well, this has been a great interview, and yeah, thank you for the time. And I have a couple more questions before we go, but tell people one more time how they can get a hold of you or your team if they have any questions.
Yes, it's actually getting hold of me is actually really easy, because you just go to Angel AI, right? So you go to angelai.com, and you just in the little input box there, and you just ask Angel, say, connect me with Pavan, and she'll answer. She get you connected.
Really?
Yeah.
That's beautiful, again. All right, angelai.com and say, I want to talk to Pavan.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
it's not complicated, huh? This way you
No,
can remember
that's it. Yeah, start chatting with her.
or IG handle. You can
Yep.
find them too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, she'll give you. She ask her for my IG handle, ask her for my LinkedIn. She'll give you all that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right there. Proof is in the pudding. Okay. All right. Couple questions for you. In Puerto Rico, my question is, what's your favorite restaurant and what do you eat there? So it could be Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I don't generally like to eat out.
All right.
Because I travel so much. I eat out because I when I eat out because I eat out because I travel.
That
So
makes sense.
my favorite restaurant is my wife's cooking. She's awesome. So,
What's your favorite dish
yeah,
that she makes, man?
she makes great Indian food. So I invite you, Taylor. Come to Puerto Rico, have dinner with us one day, and
I'm in.
I don't know if you like Indian food or not.
I had a mild, almost blowout argument with a friend. This is 3, 4 days ago. Indian food came up, and then he goes, I don't know who asked. I was like, I love Indian food. Do you? And he's like, no, I don't like it. I was like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, he wasn't a fan. I'm like, "You're crazy. How do you not like her? All that. It's just, I love y'all's food, man. I've always been a fan. So
It's good, and it's not for everybody.
yeah, so I'll accept on that all day long. I'd love to try your wife's cooking. So cool. All right, dream vacation. What's your dream vacation? Or maybe what?
Dream vacation is a weekend without the kids, without the phone. Right? It just is me and my woman. That's my dream vacation.
There you go. Fantastic. Beautiful, man. All right. What's your favorite book?
Oh,
What book are
well,
you reading currently?
huh?
Or what book are you reading currently?
I'm not reading anything currently. I just read the news and Financial Times, financial news a lot.
Okay.
And I read the stats and the data. I'm a data junkie. But then you got to be in this business, right? So I'm always looking at it's funny the markets move on data that you don't necessarily expect, like esoteric data. Well, it's not too. I don't think it's really esoteric, but people like, for example, when you trying to in the mortgage business, right? And obviously rates are really important, right? But how many mortgage bankers actually look at what's happening in auto sales and auto loan defaults and things like that, right? Right. Most trading mortgage trading desks don't look at that, but that's stuff I geek out on it, right? Because that's an early indicator, right?
Yeah.
Are auto sales rising or falling? Are they where are the defaults? How's subprime auto performing?
Okay.
Right. The subprime auto is failing. If the defaults increase subprime auto, then defaults in mortgages are going to increase as well, right? So,
Smart.
that's the kind of stuff I spend a lot of my time in.
That makes
Right.
sense.
And is crunching through analyst reports and stuff like that. I read everything that comes out from the different analysts about different parts of the economy. Right. So don't try and read.
Where do you like to grab your info from?
Just straight from like the different street firms. You end up you go on get on the mailing list and you get they publish analyst reports on a regular like daily.
Mhm.
And there's just so much you can't even keep up with it. There's so much that comes out, but you got to read it, and it gives you a view and perspective of what's going on.
That's awesome.
Right. And two street firms like Goldman can come up with one, it can have one view, and JP could have a completely different view. But that's good. You don't want everyone saying the same thing. Then you start wondering what's up.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah, and you got to form your own opinions from that in the middle.
Yup.
But going back to your question about favorite book, I guess I'll take a full circle back on what we started with quantum mechanics and consciousness, right? And it's a book I recommend people. I don't know if it's my favorite book, but I strongly recommend anybody wanting to understand the principles. There's a book called The Elegant Universe.
The what? Universe?
The Elegant Universe.
Okay. Alright.
It's a pretty heavy read. I mean, it's gives you all of the science without the math.
Okay.
Okay, which is good because yeah, I don't I suspect not a large percentage of the audience is well versed on advanced calculus, but
Yep.
so he gets through it without the calculus.
Nice.
Um, I think the author is Brian Greene.
Okay.
The Elegant Universe. That definitely worth reading. And if you can get through it and understand the concepts, right, it will change your whole perception of what is reality and what is life.
Yeah, I'm a fan. of knowledge, information, and just content that covers that.
Right.
That's
And
bigger picture awareness, man. It's
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a lot there.
yeah. And I always recommend reading and studying things at the fundamentals, right? Go to the basics. Don't read somebody else's digestion of the facts or of the data. Yeah, get to the source. Right.
It's great advice.
Yeah. Right. And that's why it's one of the things I stay away from is news. Right. And too often news is presented is not news and it's a digestion of the facts and the data and the situation.
Can't stand
And it,
it.
right.
100%.
And it's presented as fact when it isn't. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
Right. And the journals that pretend to be serious of high degree of journalistic integrity. Because when you read what they write and then you actually go to the source, it's two different things.
Yeah.
I like to go to the source.
Yep.
Right? And so if I'm gonna read something about economics, I want to first start with economics 101 and understand the theory of whatever it is, right? And then go into this specific situation. So and when you do that, when you start with fundamental understanding, then everything becomes easier, right? Like when I was a loan officer and I wanted to be a good loan officer, the first thing I did was I printed out the initial disclosure package and I printed out the closing package and I read the whole thing, every single page, every single word, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and all the loan officers that are listening right now, I bet there isn't one that actually has done that. So just think about it, as a loan officer, you're telling your borrowers to sign these documents, and you haven't read them yourself, right? And the interesting thing about that is when you actually read those documents, because those documents were designed for consumers to read. They're actually really easy to read, right? So when you read it, you learn so much, and you become better at being able to explain loan products and better at your craft because then you actually truly understand what's in there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long. It's just like one afternoon, a couple of hours, you could read the whole thing.
Change your perspective.
Yeah,
That whole perspective.
it's again, it's about opportunity. Right? We talked about what are the top three things. Well, if I'm going to be a loan officer and I'm going to ask customers to sign this, I think I better know what's in it. It's just I have a responsibility to at least know what's in it. And what's the big deal? A couple of hours to read it?
Mhm.
Read it.
Yeah.
It's not so hard.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And when you make a list of top three things, the priority, one of some of the priority item on the list is what can I do to get more knowledge? Right. Is there something can I put something in my top three that's going to actually, where I can learn a few things? If it is, then that belongs in my top three. If I could if I can learn something and accomplish something at the same time, right? Or if by doing something I'm also learning, that's always should be the highest priority.
Absolutely. Especially if it's getting you some happiness along the way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you said you're a data junkie, so you're obviously geeking out on this. The like you feed off of that stuff, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's
Right.
you know what you're doing, and it's all intentional.
Yeah. Right. So those are little decisions you make in life. There's so many people make wrong decisions because like, oh, I don't want to. Let me see if I can find a shortcut. I don't want to do that. It's too much work.
Yeah,
Right. It isn't because they don't have the time. They have the time to do it. They just don't want to do it. Right.
I agree. All right, dream car. What would your dream car be?
Oh shit. When I was 18, I wanted a Porsche, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. I used to read Motor Track and all that kind of stuff back at Car and Driver. I used to know I used to know the specs of all the supercars and stuff back when I was 18. And now I'm at an age where I'm at a point where I could buy any car I want. Right? You could I could throw the dart at I could put a issue of Car and Driver up on the wall and throw a dart, and anywhere it lands, I could buy that car. And the only thing I want is my little Honda because it never breaks down. Simple, easy, right? And I don't care what happens to it. My $20,000 Honda is perfect. So
All you need. I love it, man.
yeah,
Simplicity.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Favorite type of music, Pavon, or
Oh yeah,
genre? What do you like?
yeah. I'm an '80s child, right? So it's 80s hair bands like Van Halen, Motley Crue, Metallica, right? And but I also like the Beatles and Stones
Sure.
and everything between. A lot of classical. Like I like all kinds of music. I love a lot of great Hindi and Bollywood music. I love so
Yeah.
all over the board. But if you were to say favorite, it would be that '80s genre. 80s new wave, new wave and metal.
Fantastic. Yeah. You got, there's a lot there. Lots to unpack. Fantastic. And, all right. How about this one? What's the best advice you ever got and who gave it to you?
Oh, my dad. And I talked about this before. I mean, he ingrained it in us and the kids. Um, just like over and over again, he would say it like, "You can do anything," right? And don't listen to anybody else. Don't listen to what the teachers tell you or what anybody tells you that you can only go so far in life. You could do anything. Right? Said again, it's kind of we talked about this a little bit earlier. Is that think big, and that was his way of saying think big,
Okay. Gotcha.
right? But I mean, but he from kids like over and over and over again, like you do what you need to do today, right? Today you have to paint this house or whatever you're gonna do. You got to do that, but you can. That's not your future. That's not You're not gonna do this your whole life. You're gonna do what you're gonna do the rest of your life is whatever you think you're gonna do.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now is what you have to do, but what you're going to be doing tomorrow is what you think you're going to be doing. Again, same concept as your thoughts, your consciousness creates your reality, right? And it's because of that. It's because of what my dad taught me about you can do anything. Right? It's why our tagline is nothing is beyond reach. That's why we say Angel AI, nothing is
Man,
beyond
you
reach.
got dad right there tied into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's special, man.
yeah.
And man, my last question for you, and you kind of, it was a perfect segue with your answer, but just legacy, kind of what does it mean to you? What's the
Yeah.
overall
Yeah,
legacy focus for you?
yeah, that's funny. The first time someone asked me that question was like 8 months ago. Um, and I had the cameras on me and stuff, and I fumbled. I'm like, I don't know. Right. And then it was just it didn't really have an answer. And then later on I talked to the interviewer. I said, as I had a chance to digest it and say, I said, the reason I didn't have an answer, right, is because up until that point, I think it was last summer. Yeah, I said up until that point, I never thought about it. I never thought about what is my legacy. And the reason I never thought about it because it's not important, right? Because when you start thinking about your legacy, that's a statement, that's a position, it's a mindset that's so deeply rooted in pride and vanity. Right. It's like saying, so what you're really saying is, how do I want people to remember me after I'm gone? Who cares? I'm dead, man. I'm off I'm off to something else, right? Hopefully I'm in heaven or wherever I'm at, right? Right. So it's like legacy, right? It's not. If I'm thinking it's so hard to think about and just get done. Just get your top 3 things on your list done today, right? That's hard enough on its own. Now you want me to think about, I want me to plan what's going to happen, and how I'm going to remember after I'm dead. Who gives a shit?
That's funny, man. I mean, that's true. I mean, a lot much people close probably care for a little bit, and
Yeah,
and then outside of that, the second ring of acquaintances, if you will,
right.
it's over. Like, dude, they're 2 weeks, like back onto their life. It's just you'll come up maybe every once in a while, but it's
Exactly,
you're
exactly.
forgotten about. You'll be forgotten about real quick.
Yeah, just get
The 2 generations removed, nobody's gonna know their name.
yeah, exactly. Just get dug out.
Yeah, he's
Just
a
get the
tree.
yeah. Just get the top 3 things done for the day, and you're good. That's a good legacy. That's my legacy. I want to get what I'm supposed to do right now. I'm gonna get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important, man.
That's it.
There's a lot to be said for that. Oh, man, I love it. So, all right. Well, man, this has been a great interview, Pawan. I appreciate your time and being here. This has been a ton of fun. So, and this is my first interview in Puerto Rico, by the way. So that's kind of cool.
Well, next time we got to come here, we'll do it in person.
Yeah. No,
Have some
I'm down.
have some homemade Indian food.
That sounds like a win, 100%. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Taylor Wadehofer Show. Like, subscribe if you have any interest in potentially being a guest or know somebody that you think would be a good guest. Please feel free to reach out to me on any social media channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.